Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. On a calm Sunday morning, exactly at 9 o'clock, I found myself deeply contemplating my marriage to Mia. We had been together for 35 years in a cozy little house on the outskirts of town. Our home is modest but comfortable. A living room, a bedroom, and a garage that leads out to a spacious open terrace. There's enough space in the garage for our 2 cars and my favorite motorcycle, which I enjoy riding on. Mia casually mentioned that she had a date planned. It was set for Friday night, the same night we usually spent together in front of the TV. She explained that the date was with a colleague from another office in her company, and they were going to celebrate his birthday. Mia told me how their friendship had developed. His occasional visits to her office on Wednesdays had turned into casual coffee chats, and then into shared lunches. After one of those lunches, he stopped by her office to say goodbye. As they stood by the door, he kissed her, completely out of the blue. After the kiss, he asked her to dinner. "And you just agreed?" I asked, unable to hide my surprise. She hesitated slightly before admitting that it had caught her off guard. "We've always been honest with each other, Mia. Just tell me the truth," I urged. After a pause, she confessed that she might have hinted at the kiss. "It was just a kiss," she quickly added. "And did you kiss him back?" I asked more softly now. Her answer was gentle. "Yes." Over the next few evenings, we discussed the upcoming date. Mia remained calm, but her resolve troubled me. Each conversation only made things more complicated. It turned out that it wasn't really a birthday celebration, and no one else had been invited. I was growing increasingly irritated, and finally asked her directly, "Are you planning to sleep with him?" She didn't answer immediately, and her silence spoke louder than any words. "Why would you even think that?" she finally asked. The tension between us was palpable. "Your cheeks are flushed, and you look excited. That kiss, it thrilled you. You've mentioned how attractive he is. Twice," I accused. She sighed and acknowledged, "Yes, he's handsome. And yes, I'm excited. It's the first time I've thought about going on a date with someone else since we met. But my blush is because I came home early to bake him a birthday cake. It's in the oven right now." "A cake? When was the last time you baked a cake for me?" I retorted. Rolling her eyes, she replied, "Don't be so dramatic. I take you to your favorite restaurant every year on your birthday. Richard is divorced, lonely, and wasn't even planning to celebrate. I just felt sorry for him." I couldn't shake the unsettling feeling. "Do you even know why he got divorced?" I asked. She shrugged. "We've never talked about it, but he's a good person, and I didn't want him to feel alone." The conversation was getting more and more tense. "Fine, I'll go with you," I offered, even though I already knew her answer. "No, Michael, it's a date," she said firmly. "Then just answer me. Are you planning to sleep with him?" Her response was cautious. "I don't have any such plans." Although her words were meant to ease my fears, they didn't calm me. "You know what he expects. That kiss. It wasn't just a friendly goodbye. He's hoping for more." "Michael, he's a man. Yes, maybe men think about intimacy when a woman agrees to a date, but that doesn't mean I'm going to sleep with him," she said, calmly but firmly. "So, you're saying it's possible?" I pressed, refusing to let the subject drop. "You're exaggerating. Richard is just a colleague. Yes, he's single, and yes, I agreed to have dinner with him. That's all." "I thought we were still deciding whether you should even go," I said, feeling my irritation rise. "It's just dinner, Michael, with a colleague. I've had dinner with female colleagues before, and yes, I'm going," she insisted. I couldn't hold back any longer. "He's more than just a colleague, Mia. He's an attractive man who has already kissed you, and you still haven't given me a clear answer. So I'll ask you again, directly. Are you going to sleep with him? Are you seriously thinking about sleeping with him?" Michael's tone was light, but the question hung in the air. "I'm not planning to," Mia replied nonchalantly, shrugging. "But I can't say it's completely out of the question, right? It all depends on how things unfold." "And what would that scenario look like?" Michael persisted, now with a hint of irritation in his voice. "Like, he offers you a ride home in exchange for something in his car in the parking lot? Or will you change your mind if his ex-wife shows up to dinner with their 5 kids? Changing the subject abruptly, Michael asked, "How are you even planning to get to this dinner?" "I called a cab. It'll be here at 7 p.m., Mia answered calmly. "Of course, so that means you'll be free to have a couple of glasses of wine, right?" His words dripped with sarcasm. "Don't be ridiculous," Mia sighed, clearly tired of the conversation. "Yes, I can have some wine, but I wouldn't drive even if I didn't drink. Why would I need the car?" At that moment, the oven timer rang, interrupting the moment. "The cake's ready," Mia announced, heading toward the kitchen. "Great," Michael muttered. "Maybe I'll have a slice." "Michael, sometimes you're just unbearable," Mia shot back. "And leave the cake alone. It's just a sponge cake. I know you don't even like that." "Calling me unbearable? Low blow, but fair," he admitted. "All right, I won't touch the cake." Mia carefully transferred the cake to a cooling rack. "Tomorrow, I'll cover it with fresh cream before taking it to the restaurant," she muttered, mostly to herself. The cake box was already prepped for the final delivery. "And don't touch the box either," she warned, glancing over her shoulder. "I know what you're capable of." "I won't touch anything," Michael responded with a lazy eye roll. As he returned to the living room, Michael asked, "Where is this dinner going to be?" "At the Hilton," Mia answered. "Of course, should have guessed," Michael smirked. "I bet he booked a room there too. Women these days are so easily satisfied, aren't they? He pays for dinner and wine, and you provide the bed," he continued, his irritation becoming more evident. "I heard the breakfast there isn't bad either." "Enough, Michael, I've had it," Mia snapped. "Your jealousy is exhausting, and it doesn't suit you. Richard didn't book a room, all right? It's just dinner. But if you keep this up, I might end up in bed with him just to spite you. So here's the deal. Stop being jealous, and I'll be home by midnight." Michael stared at her for a moment before responding. "I'll be honest, Mia. I don't like any of this." "Too bad," Mia retorted. "But since it bothers you so much, let me propose another deal." "I'm listening." Michael crossed his arms. "From now until the taxi arrives tomorrow, you don't mention it again. No arguments, no sarcastic comments. I'll be home by midnight, and on Saturday morning at 9, we'll sit down and talk. You'll have time to think it over, and you can decide what to do next. Whatever decision you make, I'll respect it." 9 a.m.? Michael asked skeptically. "Yes. That'll give you time to calm down and realize how insignificant this dinner is to our relationship. Whatever you decide at 9 a.m. on Saturday, I'll go along with it. If you tell me to stop seeing Richard, I will." Michael considered the proposal. "All right, let's make it simple. I'll have dinner early tomorrow and be gone before your big night." His words were dripping with sarcasm again, and Mia wrinkled her nose in response. "How generous," she replied dryly. "But I have 2 conditions," Michael quickly added. "First, I'll sleep in the guest room tonight and tomorrow. I don't want to talk to you until Saturday. Second, if you sleep with him, our marriage is on the line." "Agreed," Mia answered calmly. On Friday, as usual, Mia returned home before Michael. When I arrived, Mia was finishing decorating the cake. Luxurious chocolate letters formed the words, "Happy Birthday, Richard." But what truly caught my attention were the delicate pink hearts, carefully placed along the sides. Mia gave me a brief greeting, but I remained silent, standing firmly in the doorway. She shrugged as if trying to shake off the tension, and I headed to the guest room to change. Making sure she was occupied, I slipped into our bedroom. In the bathroom, I immediately noticed something was missing. The expensive bath oil I had recently bought for her was gone from the cabinet. Clearly, she was planning a relaxing bath, likely with my gift. On the bed, her evening outfit was already laid out. She had chosen an elegant black dress, classic and timeless. Next to the dress were black stockings with lace ties and black panties I hadn't seen before. A new velvet choker with an imitation diamond at the center was also part of the ensemble, but a bra was conspicuously absent. Under the bed were the highest heels I had ever seen. The curtains leading to the terrace were already drawn. I checked the bedroom door, locked it, and put the key in my pocket. Later, sitting in front of the TV, I heard Mia leave the kitchen. "I'm going to get ready," she said in a calm voice. Listen, Michael, I understand that you're upset, but there's no need to worry. There's nothing intimate here, and by tomorrow, it will all be over. I nodded in response, but as soon as I heard the bedroom door close, an overwhelming urge consumed me. I went to the garage, opened the motorcycle cover, and took it with me to the terrace. I couldn't see the bathroom, but I heard the water running for the bath. I waited, knowing she was already in the bath when the water stopped. Seizing the moment, I quietly opened the bedroom door and slipped inside. I spread the motorcycle cover on the floor and opened Mia's wardrobe. I quickly threw a pile of her clothes, everything from the hangers, the black dress from the bed, and more items from the drawers. Her purse lay on top of the pile. After closing the wardrobe, I glanced at her evening outfit. Stockings, the choker, and those high heels. Well, I couldn't just leave her barefoot, could I? Cruelty has its limits. I found her phone in her purse. Gathering everything, I took it to the garage and loaded it into the car trunk except for her purse, which I decided to search. Inside the purse was the usual set: money, cards, but what caught my attention was something unexpected: a pack of contraceptives, carefully hidden in the lining. We had never used them. I put them in my pocket, locked the trunk with her belongings, and checked her phone to see the details of the taxi she had ordered. It was almost 6:30 p.m., and the car was due to arrive at 7 p.m. I called. "Hello, I'd like to cancel the ride. My wife has come down with a cold," I added with irony. The operator politely replied, "No problem, sir. Thank you for letting us know." Shortly before Mia finished her bath, I rolled the motorcycle out of the garage and secured the cake box to the back with straps. Closing the garage, I rode off. I didn't want to arrive too early, so I made a short stop at a small corner store. There, I bought an overly sentimental card with bright pink hearts. "Can I borrow a pen?" I asked the cashier. The girl behind the counter smirked and handed me the thickest pen. "This happens a lot. Here, go ahead," she said. I scribbled on the card, "Stay away from my wife, or this birthday will be your last." Getting back on the bike, I arrived at the hotel just before 7. I peeked into the dining hall. There were only a few people inside, but at one table sat a dark-haired man, alone, with a bottle of red wine. 2 glasses were on the table, but only one was filled. He appeared in a suit with a dazzlingly red tie, a risky choice for a date. The hotel staff barely paid attention as a man wearing a rescue helmet walked in carrying a cake. "Delivery for Mr. Thomas," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The receptionist nodded, asking no questions, and let me through. It was a bold move, but so far, luck was on my side. I wasn't going to back down. I had found out that Mr. and Mrs. Thomas were staying in room 305, but the porter hinted that he was likely at the restaurant. "The man with the red tie?" I asked. She nodded. "Perfect." His face was puzzled when I sat down across from him. "A special delivery from Mia," I said calmly, adding to his confusion. Without hesitation, I took a napkin, unfolded it, and placed it on my lap. Then I opened the cake box, revealing an elegant dessert. But the cake wasn't the real surprise. Slowly, I raised my hand under the table, hidden beneath the napkin. In my grip was something far more dangerous. "It's your birthday, and I have a gun. Say one word. It'll be your last," I whispered. "Understand?" I asked. His face turned pale, and he gave a slight nod. I kept my hand under the table, aiming the weapon at him. "Now I'm going to ask you a few questions. Mia has already answered them, and by the way, she's my wife. If you lie, the next thing you'll see is your blood splattered all over the restaurant. Got it?" His face turned even paler. He nodded vigorously again. "How many times have you slept with her?" I asked sharply. "Never," he blurted out, trembling. "I swear, not once." His voice shook with fear. "You booked this room, so it's clear that tonight you intended to," I said dryly. "I wanted to, but it wasn't guaranteed," he mumbled. "Now the most important question." I leaned in closer. "Did Mia know you booked the room?" His throat tightened as he nervously swallowed. "Yes," he admitted. I quickly looked around. No one had noticed us. "You know how a man feels when his woman betrays him? So, you've got 2 choices. I paused to let him grasp the gravity of my words. Either I pull the trigger, and don't think I won't, because Mia is the love of my life, and she betrayed me, or I leaned in even closer, lowering my voice. Or you shove your face into this cake right now. The choice is yours. His response was immediate. He buried his face into the cake, cream smeared over his ears, completely ruining that ridiculous red tie. As he sat there, his face covered in cake, I quietly withdrew my hand from under the napkin. There wasn't a gun at all, just a bag filled with cream. I squeezed it, and the contents spilled onto his lap. "Well, Richard," I said with fake cheer, "you got your cream pie exactly where you wanted it." I crumpled the napkin and placed it next to the card I had left on the table. With his face still buried in the cake, I stood up. A few guests glanced over as I calmly drained his glass and poured the remaining wine over his head. No one said a word. When I got home, Mia was lying on the couch in a robe and slippers, her hair still wet from the shower. Not exactly the reaction you'd expect from someone who had just been caught cheating. "What did you do, Michael?" she shrieked. I put a finger to my lips and whispered, "Saturday at 9. Without another word, I went to bed. The next morning, I woke her up at 7 by throwing her clothes on the bed. "How did you get in here? I locked the door," she exclaimed in confusion. I waved the spare key in front of her, the one I'd used to enter through the terrace door. Then, without another word, I got on my motorcycle and rode to the next town for breakfast, leaving her to process what had happened. At exactly 9 o'clock, I returned home as planned. We sat at the dinner table, facing each other in tense silence. Mia's face twisted in displeasure as I placed a large, sharp cake knife between us on the table. She was dressed in a simple tracksuit. "You'd look better in a dress, Mia," I remarked. "These clothes are so drab. Maybe you should try something different. Stockings, maybe a choker." She didn't respond to my suggestion. Instead, she asked, "What else did you do last night besides taking my clothes?" "I stopped by the hotel," I replied calmly. "Told Richard you wouldn't be coming. But don't worry, I gave him the cake you made. He really liked it. Couldn't get enough, actually. Oh, by the way, here's your bag and phone. Oh, and I deleted his number. You won't be getting it back until Wednesday." "I might get it back," she muttered. "Let's not forget about last week," I continued. "You kept telling me over and over that your evening was just a dinner. You insisted nothing more was planned, swore there was no hotel reservation. But here we are, and just to remind you, you agreed to accept whatever I decide at exactly 10 o'clock. Mia nodded, without saying a word. "I checked the hotel," I said. "Turns out Richard did book a room, and from what I found out there's no way you didn't know, so tonight I get what I want. You'll be sleeping in the guest room. I'll be filing for divorce this week. By the weekend, I want you out of here." "I don't care where you go," I added coldly. Her face twitched, her mouth opened in shock, just like Thomas's when he realized it was all over. "I'm selling the house. You'll get nothing and don't expect any alimony. You'll have to manage on your own, and there's absolutely no chance." I paused, hitting myself on the head in frustration. "That's it," I declared. "Michael, please," she quietly begged. "No. Did you really think you could just run off, sleep with some random guy, and I'd just sit here like a fool?" "We never—" she began, but I cut her off. "It doesn't matter. Stockings, a thong, no bra, that's what matters. You said you'd be at dinner for about an hour. That left you nearly 3 hours before you were supposed to call a taxi. What were you planning? Another few rounds before heading home?" "We're going to argue about furniture anyway, so let's start now," I said, pulling out 3 contraceptives and laying them on the table. I drove the knife into them, pinning them to the table. "You can keep this table. You're a deceitful, lying woman. I regret spending 35 years on you, and that's just our marriage." This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.